You know this person. Maybe it's you, the highly capable, fiercely independent adult who always has it together. You're the designated listener, the quiet achiever, the therapist for everyone in your life. You hold up the sky so well that no one ever questions the invisible weight it takes to keep it there. The world loves to praise this behavior. You are constantly told how mature you are, how incredibly responsible, how unshakable. That steady resilience becomes your defining trait, a badge of honor rewarded by managers, partners, and friends who rely on your endless capacity to shoulder the load. But underneath that flawless exterior, something aches. You struggle to sit still. True rest feels deeply uncomfortable, almost negligent, because you've learned to measure your entire human worth by how much you produce and how perfectly you perform. This creates a strange emotional paradox. During moments of genuine joy or celebration, you might feel completely numb. Peace feels suspicious, and love feels like a transaction, a debt you will inevitably have to repay by being useful. These behaviors are highly conditioned, deeply ingrained coping strategies learned a long time ago. They are often mistaken for personality traits, like being type A or naturally nurturing, when they are actually defenses. The strong, endlessly resilient adult is often a person trapped in a prolonged state of survival. You are slowly breaking under the weight of an invisible grief, carrying the exhausted ghost of a child who had to grow up entirely too fast. It usually starts without anyone noticing. You're 7 years old, watching a parent fall apart. Maybe it's addiction, maybe it's volatile anger, or maybe it's just the hollow silence of someone too broken to show up for you. In that void, a role reversal occurs. Psychologists call it parentification. Instead of the adult emotionally supporting the child becomes the caregiver. You become the emotional thermostat of the household, reading the room before you speak, managing the chaos. A child sacrifices their true self out of biological necessity. Survival is impossible, so they bury their needs to ensure the adult stays tethered. Safety is prioritized over authenticity. A quiet logic clicks into place. If I don't hold everything together, the entire structure collapses. You learn that offering peace is the only way to buy safety. So you smile more, you cry less, and you make sure you are never a burden. In the process, the child psychologically disappears. They are replaced by a highly functional, miniature adult, carrying a burden their developing brain was never meant to hold. Consistently managing the emotions of the adults around you rewires the architecture of your developing brain. Being put in charge of household stability creates a state of chronic hypervigilance. You learn to walk on eggshells, constantly scanning faces, tones of voice, and slamming doors for the slightest hint of danger. Look at how this operates. When dysfunction is your earliest normal, your nervous system accepts volatility as the baseline. It knows how to navigate chaos. But stillness, a calm, safe environment, registers as a threat, because you're just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The central lesson hardwired into you is that your own needs are dangerous and dismissible, while the needs of everyone else around you are fiercely urgent. This is exactly why, years later, you can't just relax on a Sunday afternoon. It's why you push people away or sabotage peaceful relationships. Your body is still operating on a threat detection system built for a war zone you left decades ago. That is the tragedy of growing up too fast. The brilliant biological instincts that kept you safe when you were small are the exact mechanisms keeping you locked in a prison of your own making today. It's tempting to brush this all away. You might tell yourself, it wasn't that bad. Other people had it much worse. Or, look at me, I turned out fine. But fine is often just the final mask you wear to avoid the pain. Shadow work demands that you turn toward your abandoned, neglected parts and finally bear witness to what happened. It requires looking past the performance of competence. The Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung observed this universal resistance. He noted that there is no coming to consciousness without pain, and that people will do almost anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own soul. Doing this repairing work is brutal. It asks you to stop running. It requires you to sit quietly with the grief, the rage, and the deep sorrow of the inner child, who was never permitted to ask for help, let alone cry. In your daily life, the work involves a change in priorities. You stop idolizing your own strength and begin honoring your wounds. You practice saying no and learn to value rest over performance. A moment of quiet reflection. True adulthood allows for the possibility of falling apart. You acknowledge that you will be there to catch yourself. While you couldn't control the childhood you were handed, you now have the agency to write a different future.